What's up everyone, welcome to my first tips and tactics video for Gears of War Judgment. Today I am taking a look at the Gnasher shotgun and providing information on how you can improve your Gnasher game. This is an interactive menu that you guys see here at the start, so if you're viewing it on the desktop, you will be able to jump between different sections of the video. Before I get started, I wanted to present a few of the most frequent complaints that players have with any Gears of War shotgun. You'll see things typically like, my shotgun is shooting marshmallows. What this means is that it's not doing a lot of damage, and typically you see this in previous Gears of War titles 1, 2, and 3 versus another player where they feel like that player is doing a lot more damage. The shotgun is inconsistent. This has been pretty much persistent on all Gears of War titles. The first Gears of War did not have a shotgun pattern. The next three, including Gears Judgment, have a shotgun pattern. I'm going to show that. The character spun shots. This is something that you again see in all Gears of War titles. It's typically related to hitbox registration and latency, a combination of those two things. So I took a few samples from my latest running ranked videos and provided comments from Gears of War players, some of them may be my subscribers as well, that timestamped certain parts of those videos and associated it to sponging. So let's take a look at those first. Alright, so here a guy thinks I should have gotten that first kill. He says he sponged it even though it was low. 50% there. It looks a little fishy in 50%. I'm going to introduce a new term for you guys. Maybe it's already out there. Frame trigger input. So here's the first frame of this where I actually hit the fire button. There's the second frame. You guys see only 3 pellets hit. The rest are low and to the right. There's the third frame. Looks like it's all in his back because of the shotgun animation. There's a fourth frame, still looks like it's solid, but those 3 pellets are still there. There's the fifth frame. No sponge, only got 3 solid shots there. Here's another one, same setup. This guy says, basically, how can I deny that that wasn't a sponge? So 100% speed, man, it looks like I got robbed. Slow it down a little bit, 50%. Looking a little fishy. Looking a little fishy. Clean them up with the third hit right there. Now here's frame by frame. First frame. This is where I input on the trigger. There's the second frame coming out. You guys see, look at all those pellets hit behind him. You guys can see that smoke there from the pellets. Only 2 are actually connecting with him. That's the fourth frame. And here is the fifth frame. That is not a sponge. Alright, here's another one. You guys are getting the trend. 100%, 50%. Looked a little fishy there. Slow-mo, still kind of fishy. Alright, frame by frame. Here's the first frame, input. There's where it comes out. Second frame, look at on that back wall. Look at all those sparks. Only 2 pellets are hitting. Third frame. Now it's kind of confusing because my cursor looks like it's right over them, but remember that frame trigger input. Fourth frame, fifth frame, even a little bit of blood gush there. Not a sponge. Not a sponge. So now that I've introduced this term, frame trigger input, basically what that means is that the frame before you fire is where your pellets will hit. That's the direction they will go regardless of where you end out of that shotgun animation. Because sometimes you may line up your shot correctly, but based off of where you hit the right trigger, that's where your shot is going to fire. And a lot of people confuse the blood gush that occurs after, 1 or 2 pellets connecting with a sponge. Aiming in Gears of War Judgment has returned to the center of the screen and no longer derives from the barrel of your shotgun like Gears of War 2 or Gears of War 3, so it's very similar now to Gears of War 1. So this change is most significant for players that did not play the original title and might not be used to the new aiming location. Also with that, the spread difference between hard aiming, which is holding down the trigger, left trigger, to aim down your sights, and hip firing is nearly identical. This was most notably shown in Skylis's weapon damage breakdown video, which is annotated on screen, and there's also a link down in the description. Now, for Evasion, there are basically 4 types of basic maneuvers. You have strafing, roadie running, wall bouncing, and rolling. Now, of those 4, rolling is probably the one that I would least recommend, especially if you're playing against seasoned players, because rolling in battle usually results in a death. You do not want to roll. Strafing consists of moving your left analog right and to left or left to right when you're in combat. That's essentially a strafe. Now there's different variations of strafing and different patterns. You know, you can switch it up. You can go left, left, right, right, left, long, and then left again. There's a lot of different patterns involved with strafing to kind of you know, keep it spicy and keep your opponent guessing. But at its core, you're just simply moving the left analog. Now, roadie strafing or roadie running incorporated with your strafe consists of using the roadie run button, which is typically A for most of you guys, to run at your opponent, but you change the direction in which you're moving. So you can start off left and then you can go right, or you can start off right and then go left or go back. It's just something that was introduced, I believe, in Gears of War 3, started becoming a lot more prominent based off of the game speed. And with Gears of War Judgement and the movement speed, you're going to see a lot more of this tactic being viable. The last one is wall bouncing, and there's different variations of wall bouncing. I probably have a separate tutorial all on wall bouncing, but for the most part, I like to mix in a bit of strafing and wall bouncing to complete my assault on an enemy opponent. I don't typically rely on wall bouncing because I feel like if you get too into it, you can become kind of out of control. And if you play a seasoned player, typically they can kind of just kind of stay at a distance and peg you down while you're trying to close the distance or dodge when they're wall bouncing. Now in the useful tactics section, we're going to first start off by mentioning some of the optimal grenade loadouts. You have the Gnasher stem, probably the best all around. That stem keeps you alive longer. You can use it both offensively and defensively. The Gnasher and the frag grenades, which I think are ideal for flushing out opponents, pushing, and dealing damage while you're pushing. And then the Gnasher smoke. Now the smoke, the reason I like that one is because it is good both defensively when you need to get out of a sticky situation, and you can occasionally push it, an enemy player offensively, kind of get that stun on them. They're still mobile, so you'll have to connect with your shots, but it can be useful. The up A tactic was something that, kind of got coined back in the original Gears. You come off of cover roadie running and then you get a shotgun blast almost immediately thereafter. Does not seem as effective on Gears of War Judgement. I think it is because of the change to center screen from the barrel. So it's kind of throwing people off while they get adjusted to it. Now I have had minimal success with it, so I know it still works, but it just does not feel as consistent. In this situation here, I am being the aggressor. I am approaching from left-hand advantage, and Skyless has right hand on the cover piece, and he's effectively able to melee me before I can line up my shot center screen, and it basically halts me in place. Not much I can do for that, so you need to be careful in those types of situations. There's also some power weapon combinations that I feel are pretty good for tactics that you can utilize around the map. You have the Gnasher boom shield, which allows you to stay pretty mobile and continue pushing on to like key locations around the map if you're playing domination, or just helping your team secure power weapons. It's very viable now. And the only thing that you cannot do while you have that boom shield is wall bounce. So you're going to lose out on one of your maneuvering abilities. So you're going to have to rely on strafing and probably roadie strafing. And the last thing I'm going to touch on is the sensitivity settings. Now, I'm sure most of the seasoned vets out there know the differences between look, target, and zoom sensitivity. Your look sensitivity is basically hip firing, how fast you can basically turn 180 degrees or vice versa, 360 degrees. And that will control pretty much the majority of your Gnasher play. The target sensitivity is going to control your pop shots and hard aims. I would recommend playing for look sensitivity anywhere at about 18 or higher. And for your target sensitivity, I recommend playing somewhere between the 15 to 20 range. And that wraps up this tutorial on the Gnasher. I will have more in-depth videos on movement, tactics, and general gameplay in the future. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed. And until the next time, I will catch you later. Peace.